People think they know The Shawshank Redemption, but almost no one knows the truth behind it. The film that nearly never got made. The secrets the cast hid for decades. The details you've never noticed, no matter how many times you've watched it. By the time you finish this video, you'll realize you never really knew Shawshank at all. It's been called the greatest film never to win Best Picture. A movie that failed at the box office but became immortal through word of mouth and late-night cable TV. A story layered so deeply that even after dozens of viewings, fans are still discovering things they missed. The Shawshank Redemption. For millions, it's the ultimate tale of hope, friendship, and rebirth. But hidden underneath this familiar classic lies a world of secrets even die-hard fans have never uncovered. Today, we're stepping behind the curtain to reveal Shawshank's most closely guarded truths, straight from the actors and filmmakers who brought it to life. The hidden meanings, the quiet tensions on set, and the symbolic details that completely reshape how you understand Andy Dufresne's journey. These aren't fun facts. These are revelations that open an entirely new way of watching a movie you thought you knew by heart. From Morgan Freeman's unexpected insights about Red to Tim Robbins' secret acting methods to the deleted scenes that would have changed the story forever, this is the real story behind Shawshank. And when we're done, you'll never see it the same way again. The film almost didn't exist. Before anyone revealed anything, you need to know something unbelievable. Shawshank Redemption almost never reached theaters. When Frank Darabont first asked Stephen King for the rights to adapt his novella Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption, King hesitated not because he doubted Darabont, but because he believed the story was too internal and psychological to translate into a film. What most people don't know is that King eventually sold the rights for just $1. A single dollar. It was part of his Dollar Baby program, where he allowed young filmmakers to adapt his shorter works for a symbolic payment. Tim Robbins revealed years later that this token price gave the production unusual creative freedom. "We weren't making a giant studio picture with executives hovering over every frame," he said. Frank had real control because the stakes didn't feel high to the studio. Morgan Freeman echoed this, saying, "It's ironic. The movie that would sit at #1 on IMDb for years basically started as an afterthought. This strange beginning created the perfect conditions for a film that, like Andy Dufresne, took a long, quiet road to greatness." One of the biggest reasons Shawshank feels so real is the prison that became its backbone. The cast filmed inside the Ohio State Reformatory, a massive decaying facility shut down only 4 years earlier for inhumane conditions. Clancy Brown, who played the ruthless Captain Hadley, said, "Every morning when we walked through those gates, something heavy settled on us. You could feel the misery baked into those walls. You didn't need to act. The prison wasn't a set, it was a character." Tim Robbins would sit alone inside the cramped cells between takes, letting the claustrophobia sink in. "When they shut that door, something instinctive kicks in. The panic is real," he said. Incredibly, many of the extras you see in the yard and cafeteria scenes were real former inmates of the same prison. Their faces, their silence, their glances, they weren't performing. They were remembering. Even the prison walls were changed depending on the time period. For scenes set earlier in the story, the walls were artificially cleaned to look newer. As the years passed, the grime returned. These details are invisible at first, but they work on your subconscious, pulling you deeper into Shawshank's world. Morgan Freeman later said this authenticity changed how he played Red. "I wasn't acting like a prisoner in a movie. I was a man who had been in that hell for decades. There's a difference. The actors didn't just play their characters, they built entire lives for them." Freeman invented an entire criminal past for Red, imagining him as a man who once ran numbers in the 1930s and 40s, someone who had real influence, then lost it all. "That," he said, "is why Red recognizes something in Andy immediately. Here's another man who had power and lost everything." Robbins took a different approach. He created two Andys. The Andy everyone sees, quiet, stiff, calculated, and the real Andy, the one we glimpse when he plays music over the loudspeakers or tunnels through his cell wall at night. In public scenes, Robbins kept his movements rigid. In private, he let Andy's true self emerge. It's so subtle that most viewers feel it without realizing it. James Whitmore, who played Brooks, based the character on his own father, who struggled with depression. The scene of Brooks feeding the birds wasn't in the script. Whitmore suggested it because his father used to feed birds alone in the park after his mother died. That single image added emotional depth that defines Brooks' arc to this day. Shawshank is full of hidden meanings viewers rarely notice. Robbins revealed that Andy is constantly framed behind bars or barriers. Even in scenes outside his cell, subtle reminders that he is imprisoned internally in ways the others aren't. Freeman shared the real meaning behind the rooftop beer scene. It's not just a moment of freedom. It's the moment Andy becomes valuable to the guards. It's the first step toward the identity he will use to escape. Even Red's famous line, "Get busy living or get busy dying," wasn't just a memorable quote, it was the theme of the entire movie. Darabont wrote it on the wall of the production office so that every choice in the film pointed toward that central idea. Even the posters on Andy's cell wall had deeper meaning. Rita Hayworth represents innocence and early Hollywood glamour. Marilyn Monroe represents complexity. Raquel Welch, dressed like a cavewoman, represents stripping life down to its raw essentials. According to Darabont, the posters are a metaphor for Andy shedding layers of his old identity until he is ready to be reborn. The weather also tells its own story. Rain accompanies every moment of tragedy. Thunder shakes the night of Andy's escape. And the only time we see truly bright, warm sunlight is when Andy and Red reunite in Mexico. And that reunion, it almost never made it into the movie. Studio executives wanted the film to end with Red on the bus, heading south, leaving the ending ambiguous. Darabont refused. He insisted audiences needed the emotional closure of seeing Andy and Red together again. Surprisingly, the beach reunion was the first scene filmed before Robbins and Freeman had built their on-screen chemistry. Darabont wanted that slight awkwardness, the sense of two men reconnecting after decades apart. Thomas Newman's iconic score was carefully designed to grow more hopeful as the film progresses. Early tracks are cold and metallic. By the final scenes, the music opens up, filled with warmth. As Robbins put it, the music does what Andy does. It smuggles hope into Shawshank, one note at a time. Though the movie flopped in theaters, it exploded through VHS and cable TV. Morgan Freeman famously said, "People didn't just watch it, they watched it every time it came on." It became the ultimate comfort movie. Its slow rise to greatness mirrors Andy's long journey to escape quiet, patient, unstoppable. Today, the prison where it was filmed has become a major tourist attraction. The cells, tunnels, and hallways are preserved for fans from all over the world. A place once known for suffering is now celebrated for a story about human resilience. Shawshank continues to endure because it speaks to something universal. As Freeman said, we all feel imprisoned by something: our circumstances, our mistakes, our regrets. The film promises that escape is possible. Hope is possible. But hope is hard. Shawshank acknowledges the struggle before celebrating the victory. Then that's why the film still feels alive, because in the end, it isn't about a prison break. It's about what can't be taken from us: our dignity, our friendships, and our capacity for hope. As Andy tells Red,